We have got a really amazing speaker, honestly, the legends in this space. This is one of my absolute favorite companies in Web3. Ledger, please give a warm welcome to Ian Rogers.
Yes, okay, cool. Hey, everybody. So I'm not going to take too much of your time. What I have is kind of a public service announcement for today. We're talking about security. They asked me to come talk about security. So I'm guessing many people in the room know much of what I'm going to say, but hopefully I can recontextualize it a little bit for you. And if you want to interrupt me, I don't mind. We can have a conversation for a few minutes here. The previous presentation is a great. Wait, how do I go forward? Oh, there we go. So the previous presentation is a great level set because I completely agree. We're living through something that's really special. As Derek Edward Schloss would say, it's this once in humanity digitization of all value. We've already lived through this once in humanity digitization of all information, and you know it's had far bigger implications on humanity than I think any of us imagined in the 90s. I mean, I was one of those people in the 90s saying this internet thing is going to be gigantic. But if you would have described kind of the attention deficit that we're all living in today because of the abundance of information, I probably would have thought you were taking it a little too far. But that's always the way it works, right? We always overestimate the impact of technology in the short term, and we underestimate it in the long term. And the thing I want to remind everyone here, we're all at an NFT conference in 2025, and we've seen that up and the down, and now what we get is 30 years of sustained growth, right? And that means that just as many people in 2002 said they would never have an email address. I mean, remember people in 2002 telling me that. There are many people today that say, "Oh, I'll never have a digital asset. I don't need one." And like I always say, I don't really personally entertain those conversations. I just say, please just call me in 10 years when your driver's license and your passport are digital, and go talk to someone else, because it's really not worth the time to argue. We are living through this. I spoke with someone yesterday who is building a platform to bring traditional art on chain. Right, so it's a super practical thing. I want to take the traditional things that I own, these real world assets. I bring them on chain, and maybe it's just an attestation for insurance, or maybe it puts them in a marketplace where I can sell them, right? So it's absolutely everything will have kind of a representation of digital value, but with that sort of power comes great responsibility, as we know. And I think the thing that I find really interesting is we're talking about this new capability, digital ownership, right? But there are so few places where we can actually hold that digital ownership. I think we can all agree that there's only two sane approaches. One would be a trusted custodian, name 5, right? Or secure self-custody. Right? Those are the only two things that make any sense. Either a custodian who holds it for you that you absolutely trust, and remember, that certainly I didn't know FTX was coming until after it happened. I don't know, maybe you were a savant and did, and I never thought that Silicon Valley Bank would blow up, and I would have Tim Draper telling startups to put 2 months of payroll on a ledger because that way you can't get SVB'd, right? I didn't have those things on my bingo card for 2023, but that's so trusted custodian is a tricky proposition. That's my point. There are some that I trust personally for whatever reason. You may have them as well, but we can agree that there aren't that many of them, and we should be kind of fundamentally questioning about what that means, right? And we have this incredible ability, this ability for self-custody. But self-custody is tricky too, right? Where do you put your recovery phrase? What is your personal operational security? And this is where we live, at this moment in time. And the interesting thing is, if we have kind of on the order of 500 million people using digital assets, we have very few of them in secure self-custody. At Ledger, we've sold 7 million devices to, probably around 5 million people. We're the #1 player when it comes to secure self-custody. So, let's say there's 10 million people total in kind of secure self-custody of tens of millions of people in software wallets. And then you have hundreds of millions of people on exchanges in the kind of not your keys, not your coins setup. So that's where we are today, and that's the lens that I always look at it through. I feel like my job is to try to make that 10 million people, 100 million and beyond. It's how do we really bring secure self-custody to more people? So what does it mean to actually be secure? Like what should you be looking for if you're evaluating your own practices? So first of all, remember, this is how I always explain it. You guys probably already know this, but if it's helpful, maybe in the way you explain it to someone else, what I always say is, people think like your value is in your ledger, and then when you lose it, you lose your value. But that's not how it works. Your value is on the blockchain, and what you have in your wallet, whichever one it is the private key that allows you to say, I'm the owner of that value, right? And so protecting that private key is everything. It's literally everything. If someone has access to that key, then they have access to your value. So the things that you need to be secure, and you need to be secure both at rest and at the time of transaction, is you need to have your private key generated by a secure element that has properties like entropy. So you've got a very random number. You don't want it to be generated from a very small address space. We've seen that that bug before, which leads to people being able to discover all of the wallets in that address space. So that's step one. You have to have the key generated in that secure element. Number two, it needs to stay there when you do the transaction. So when you do the transaction, it's done in that secure element, not in the way some wallets work is there's secure memory over here, and then there's kind of the same type of chip that's in your toaster or your remote control over here, and they pull it out, do the cryptographic computation over here, and then throw it away or put it back. You need to do it in that because they're countermeasures in these secure chips. It's the same chip that's like in your credit card or in your passport, but it's just used for your secrets instead of the bank or the government's secrets. And then the third thing is you need to be able to approve that transaction with your eyeballs on a secure screen, a screen that won't lie to you. There's a lot of code between the chip in your phone or the chip in your computer and the screen. And you can get in there and change what you see on the screen. So you need to approve it on a screen where you can see what it is. So those are the three properties that we always look for security. Now doing that in a e-ink touchscreen is what we've done with Ledger Stacks and Ledger Flex. Tons of stuff online. I'm really here to talk about security. Obviously, I could talk about Ledger a lot, but there's a lot on ledger.com that'll do the same thing. But those are the properties that you need at the end of the day to be secure. And Ledger actually is the only one that actually does all three of those properties, does everything in the secure element, and powers a screen, but I'm really not here to do an infomercial. The other thing to look out for is, the crazy thing about where I sit is, I'm like you guys, doing things in the NFT space with my wallet all the time, which means I'm blind signing. No one's ever done a clear sign transaction on, say, OpenSea. It's just never happened. All the volume. It's always been like, no matter how much security you have at that last minute, you're like, hexadecimal, YOLO. That's where we are and what we're doing at this moment in time. And there's no question that years down the road, that'll just be crazy. Like the notion that we're just signing things that we can't actually read, it will be insane. It is insane. What's interesting to me is that, I sit with the security experts at Ledger, and they're like, that's stupid. No one should ever do that. And then I sit with you all, and we're like, yeah, we do it all day long. And trying to bridge that gap is kind of where we live. And it's why we've spent so much time working on this clear signing thing, not alone, but with other hardware wallets, with dApps, with other software wallets. We've put together a consortium of people over the past year plus now, working on this blind signing problem and turning it into clear signing. So what you'll see, and what you should be demanding, frankly, over the next 6 months and beyond, is more and more clear signing on every chain. So what you really want to be looking for is, can I read exactly what I'm signing? And is it human readable? And am I reading it on a secure screen, right? So even the kind of transaction simulation stuff that wallets do, that should be on a secure screen, and that will happen. And then this, clear signing going from blind signing, which you've probably had to turn on your device many times. Every time you update your Ethereum app, it'll make you turn it on again because we really don't want you to do it. But turning that into clear signing is something that you will see us do. So I'm sorry to be like a public service announcement, but security is important. Operational security is very important. We are, it's very difficult to still steal $1 billion worth of gold bars. They're heavy. It's like they don't move very easily. But it's really easy to steal digital value. And, thinking about where you keep it, how you keep it, what your operational security is, what all of the risks around you are is super important. So if I can just get you to think about that for a few minutes today, I've done my job. I hope that's helpful. If anybody has a quick question for me, I'm happy to take it. Hit me.
So like everyone says, the private keys are the main thing.
Yep.
Then you keep hearing about people who click on something and then they lose everything. So how does the hacker get the private key, like if they don't have the private key?
So there are many different attack vectors, but if you're, like, let's say that you have first mistake that many people, a lot of these are just the social engineering hacks, right? So the first thing is, anyone who asks you for your recovery phrase is a thief, period. No one, if somebody asks you for your recovery phrase, if you have the opportunity, punch them in the fucking face, right? That person is a thief. So but a lot of these are just social engineering hacks. So, they find a way to scare you. They tell you there's a mistransaction. Oh, there's a problem with your account. Oh, yeah, we're Ledger. We're going to fix it for you, but we're going to need your recovery phrase. So that's a very simple social hack. There are other ones now. Last week, for the first time in the App Store, an application appeared, and if you downloaded and opened the app, that app would look through your whole camera roll and try to find the recovery phrase. Right, a lot of people have a recovery phrase in their camera roll, and there are now apps that are going to ask for permission. If they can sneak those things into the App Store, they will. If they can sneak it into another app, they will. So those are these are cheap in a way. Other ones are more expensive, and what they're doing is they're taking advantage of that blind signing piece. So you think you're signing one thing, and you're actually signing another. I can show you a video which is using a software wallet or even another hardware wallet that doesn't have a secure screen, and you're trusting that software, but you can't verify what it is you're signing on the secure screen. And if your operating system is owned, they can just change what's actually happening on the phone. So that's a more expensive, more sophisticated attack, but very doable. I can demonstrate it for you. What am I forgetting? But those are maybe the basics of today. I mean, remember that it's always about opportunity cost, right? So if you have the opportunity to steal $100 million, you're going to spend a lot of money and a lot of time on that. The ones where they're getting kind of $5,000-$10,000, those are going to be lower fidelity, less money, less time, but more spray and pray. They're going to send 50,000 text messages and hope somebody clicks them. One more, and then I should probably get off the stage.
Recently, we have a few issues with claiming airdrops because with Ledger we can't sign offline transaction or something like that. Why Ledger deactivate this functionality, and what can be
To be honest, I don't know the answer well. Anybody else know the answer? They can help? I don't know. Hit me afterwards, and I'll find out for you. You know, we have the broadest support for chains, but that support can be uneven in terms of exactly what on the chain that it supports. But I don't know the airdrop claim problem that you're talking about. I apologize. Hit me afterwards. I apologize. Okay, I'll let you guys go. Thank you. I hope it was helpful.